Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Putnam, Chair of the Voter Services Committee of the League of Women Voters, Falmouth, and I'd like to welcome you to Candidates Night. This year, instead of coming together with your friends and neighbors, we're all attending Candidates Night from home. The candidates and our moderator are also participating from their homes. The move from our live audience to remote recording has had its challenges, and we are especially grateful this year to our longtime partner, Falmouth Community Television. Thanks to FCTV's dedicated staff and volunteers, you will have a chance to hear the candidates' views both this evening and in rebroadcast before the election on November 3rd. You can find FCTV's schedule for rebroadcasting this program on their website and in the Falmouth Enterprise. A word about the League. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We're nonpartisan because we never support a candidate or a political party. We are political because we take positions on public policy issues based on our study of independently verified facts. You can learn more about the League by visiting us online at www.lwvf.org. The League encourages informed participation in government. Candidates Night brings together candidates for contested offices and provides a forum for them to present their views to the public. This year, we have invited candidates for State Senate, Barnstable County Commission, and Falmouth representative on the Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates. All candidates were invited. 2 could not make it or did not respond. The League thanks all the candidates for their time and energy, thoughtfulness, and civility that they bring to this event. I also want to thank my colleagues on the League's Voter Service Committee for designing this event and putting together its many pieces in this challenging time. Our moderator tonight is Mindy Todd, WCAI's award-winning radio journalist. We thank her for volunteering her services again tonight. Mindy will ask the candidates questions composed by the Voter Service Committee, as well as some questions submitted to the League's website by Falmouth residents. Finally, please remember, democracy is not a spectator sport. Vote. Vote by mail, in person early, or in person on November 3rd. You can apply to vote early by mail and learn how, when, and where to vote early in person by visiting the town's website. Whichever way you choose, join FCTV staff and the League of Women Voters Falmouth and be a voter. And now I turn this program over to Mindy Todd.
Thank you, Jenny. And we are going to start this evening with our candidates for state senator. Reminder, our format is up to 2 minutes to answer the questions, and then we will have 2 minutes for closing statements at the end. And we do have a timekeeper keeping time for our candidates. Our candidates are Republican Jay McMahon and Democrat Susan Moran. Good evening to you both.
Good evening. Good to be here with you.
Good evening, Mindy.
All right, we're going to start in alphabetical order. Jay, so you will go first. What 3 issues do you think are of greatest importance to the residents of the Plymouth and Barnstable district, and how will you go about addressing these issues?
Well, first of all, the 3 issues, it's clear to me from talking to everybody in every town in the district. First of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having this debate. But the 3 issues I'm finding out is very resounding. It's the economy, it's public safety, and it's also the bridges. Now, the economy is the number of everyone's mind. And what is our government doing to help our local businesses being affected by the pandemic? People want the economy to reopen. They are concerned about their jobs. They're concerned about the businesses closing up and in some cases going under. People are concerned about their paychecks and whether they are going to be able to make their mortgage payments. People fear that the government is going to increase their property taxes, their income taxes, and every other tax that Beacon Hill can dream up. That's why my 10-point economic recovery plan is resonating with the voters and every business in this district. You can find my 10-point plan in its entirety on my website at attorneyjmcmahon.com. We lost last season. Restaurants couldn't even open up until the day after Labor Day. People don't mind taking safe and reasonable precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19, but they do object to arbitrary closings of businesses as being non-essential. If it's your business or you work there, then it's essential to you. Public safety is another big issue facing the people in this district. People are very upset and opposed to the recent so-called police reform bill. When people realize what is in those 89 pages, they are astonished and horrified. The bill strips qualified immunity away from our police officers, firefighters, first responders, and even the school nurse. There's no civil service appeal in this. This bill actually prohibits school officials and the school resource police officer from reporting gang members and gang-related activities.
Thank you. That is 2 minutes. Thank you. Susan Moran, same question.
Thank you, Minnie. Thanks to FCTV and the League for having us tonight. I'm Susan Moran, and I'm running for re-election as your senator. I'm proud to be hosted this evening, and I've been a senator for just a bit over 100 days. I want to thank you all for your support. I can honestly say it's the best job I've ever had. And I want to start by acknowledging your resilience in social distancing and wearing masks. Local mask makers here in Falmouth, some of which I bet are watching tonight, are just one example of the way that we've come together as a community. But many work sectors of our district have been incredibly challenged. 3 crucial issues to this district are about change. We must change the way we support our students and allow teachers the flexibility to teach our children in new ways. This fall, I directed $500,000 into our public schools for technology upgrades. We must renew our local harbors and allow harvesting of the ocean in new ways, such as carefully expanding aquaculture. Working with WHOI scientists and Senate leadership, I've provided $5 million for this district to create jobs, feed families, and protect our water quality. We must change the way we work to provide businesses with incentives and funding that promote workforce development in a remote way. The pandemic has shown us that we can adapt, but we must give businesses and workers more tools, such as tax credits to employers who promote telecommuting. It will give back balance to our family lives and provide clean, sustainable growth for our economy. In the next 100 days as your senator, I will continue to deliver on these and all of our key issues for the district.
Thank you. Susan Moran, you'll answer first this time. Please identify a public need that would benefit from greater attention from the legislature, and what specific steps would you undertake to address this imminent need?
Well, one of the things that I've been working on already is food insecurity. Particularly, I've been working with Don Cox and General Sullivan. He's a 4-star general right here in Falmouth, and both of whom have endorsed me. And we've been looking at Senate programs. I'm on the Food Insecurity Committee, and this is something that's immediate. There's a need for our service people that serve us so well. And of course, there's a broader need for the entire community. So what we're interested in doing at the Senate is supporting that immediate outreach, keeping our pantries full, so to speak, and going forward, keeping stocked, because we don't know with the second wave, potential flu. We want to be ready and get people and families the food that they need.
Jay McMahon, same question. You got, I think you're muted. There you go. Okay, start again. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. It's interesting because what I'm finding out from the people actually out there, they're concerned by things other than what Sue had just mentioned. For instance, seniors are very concerned about long-term care facilities. Now, we got a serious problem at the Holyoke Soldiers Home where we've had many people die of COVID-19. The state was just plain negligent in what they were doing there. Now, the Senate has not been in session for 10 weeks. It's time that the government started getting back to work. We got some serious problems. They just passed a so-called police reform bill in July, and it's affecting every single police officer, every single firefighter, every single first responder, and even the school nurse. It is crazy what that bill has done. I can't believe that Sue actually voted for it, but she did. When asked if she would do it again, she said she would. This bill is devastating to police officers. I've talked to many of them. I've talked to all the departments within the district. I've talked to all the chiefs in the district. No one likes this bill. They absolutely hate it because it takes away qualified immunity from all of them. There is no civil service appeal. And worst of all, it prohibits police and the school resource officer from reporting on known gang members and gang activities in the high school. And you got to ask yourself, how did this happen? Who would vote for this bill if they knew what was in it? It's 89 pages, and somebody should have taken a read on this before voting for it.
Jay McMahon, we start with you this time. This is a question from the public. Where do you stand on the issue of the threat posed to the Commonwealth by climate change? And please state the facts on which you base your answer.
Okay. I've lived in this district all my life. I've got children that live in this district. I've got grandchildren. And what I have done in the past is that I have been a part of the Bourne Financial Development Corporation. Basically, what our job was to encourage green businesses to come into the town of Bourne, and we were relatively successful in that. I had been on there for about 10 years. So I see that that is something important that we should do in all the towns within the district. But I'll tell you, my feeling about the environment is that I want to keep it clean. I like the fact that we've made great strides in the last 20 years. We've got cleaner water than we had 20 years ago. We got cleaner air than when we had 20 years ago. I don't see us right now in an emergency, that is a climate emergency. I see us in an environmental emergency with COVID-19 and with our economy tanking, and we're now one of the highest unemployment rates in Massachusetts. Now look, when people are worried about where their next paycheck is going to come from, whether the job is going to be there when they go back, whether we're going to run out of unemployment, those are the issues that are facing them right now. And to me, that's more important than worrying about where the climate is going to be, say, 100 years from now.
Thank you. Susan Moran?
Sure. Just going to start with, I'm sure what'll be a few corrections of the record here. The Senate actually is still in session. In fact, my most recent meeting was within this week. Committees are ongoing, and there'll be announcements coming as soon as the committee work is finished. There's a lot of budgetary concerns that come down from the federal government, all of which we know is in question now. But as to climate change, I was a member of the Water Quality Coalition on the Cape here. I started as chair of the Board of Selectmen with my member who's on later today, Doug Brown. What in Falmouth is the Climate Action Committee. We're fortunate to have many scientific organizations right here on the Cape and particularly in Falmouth that provide us easy access to factual information, including climate change. I'm a fan of the governor's proposals in terms of net zero by I think it's 2050 at this point. I've spoken with Betsy Gladfelder year after year about electric buses for the Steamship Authority. The technology on that is improving, and we have some already started on the Vineyard. One of the biggest accomplishments that I've had in the Senate is my aquaculture bill. That was an idea for a study, and the chair of Ways and Means, one of the coalitions that I've been building, very important committee because that's where the money comes from. Mike Rodrigues basically said, "This is a terrific idea, Susan. I think this will be important for all of our seaside communities. Not only will we do the study that you've suggested, let's put the money in that you've asked for as well. So that those are just a few of the things that are going to help us with what we do now to plan for climate change and what we do in the future.
All right, thank you, Susan. We're going to start with you this time. This is another public question. Medical aid in dying permits competent adults with terminal illnesses the right to receive from their physician a prescription to end their suffering. Will you support medical aid in dying legislation if it is introduced this session? Why or why not?
I absolutely will. I've been working from the beginning with Elias and Roger on the bill. I think it's incredibly important for people in a vulnerable position with their health to be able to continue to participate in their decisions. Having been a breast cancer survivor, I know how important that is when you're scared, your family's worried, you don't know if you're gonna, be in control of decisions. And that was the thing that lent strength to me in the past. So I understand it personally. With my dad, he had esophageal cancer, same situation. He got faith and strength from being in control of his situation. And that's why I support the bill, and I will continue to do so.
Thank you. Jay McMahon, same question. You have to unmute, Jay. There you go.
Okay. I have a little experience in this. My wife's uncle 10 years ago had ALS, and he actually elected to go that route, and he did, and we all gathered around, and it was sad, but it happened because they had a right, and he had a right to do that. I'm more concerned about nursing homes where people are dying involuntarily. That is, they're dying from COVID-19. There's no bill apparently in the Senate anywhere to try to stop this, try to correct it, try to bring the people responsible for allowing this to happen. But the nursing homes actually just became killing grounds for COVID-19. Somebody has to look into this. I would challenge Sue to bring a bill because there's no bill yet. The only thing she has done was filed amendments, but there's no bill on this. No one seems to take this to heart except for the families of loved ones who have died in the nursing homes. So I'm a little bit more concerned about that and how that comes about and how it finally is going to resolve. And I'm hoping as the next state senator, then I'll do something about it.
All right, we're going to move to closing comments now. Jay McMahon, you have 2 minutes. You go first.
Okay. I would like to thank the Falmouth League of Voters for hosting this debate. Having lived in this district all my life and wanting my children to stay here, I have a deep love for our communities. I'm a passionate guy. So what does that mean for you? It means I will give everything I have for this job. It means you'll not see me sell you out to lobbyists or the Beacon Hill elites like my opponent has. And it means that your priorities and concerns become my priorities and concerns. You have an important choice this November 3. Before you vote, you need to know a couple of things. I've already been endorsed by several police unions, such as the Pembroke Police Union and the New England Police Benevolent Association. And many other unions are voting even now on endorsing me as we speak. The differences in this race are wide. You want a state senator who is obligated only to you, then I'm your candidate. You want a state senator who knows that the economy and your jobs and your small businesses must be our priorities, then I'm your candidate. If you want a state senator who will hold the line against all tax increases, then I am your candidate. If you want a state senator who will be accessible to you, then I'm your candidate. You want a state senator who will not play politics with our public safety and who backs the blue and who the blue endorses, then I am your candidate. And finally, if you want a state senator who will be honest with you, well, then I am your candidate. For more information on my plans and goals, please visit my website at attorneyjmcmahon.com and my Facebook page at J4 State Senate. That's JAY number 4 State Senate. I would be honored to have your support and your vote on November 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Susan Moran.
Thank you, Minnie. And thanks to the League and to FCTV. During this hour, my opponent has demonstrated a startling lack of understanding of the issues and the process. It's hard to know where to begin or which position is more dangerous. He attacks people of color and citizenship, his lack of knowledge for women's rights and racial equality, his support for unfettered access to assault rifles, his disregard for fact-based scientific research. These are serious times for serious decisions. People's lives are at stake and we must pull together as one. We must support our first responders, our teachers, our restaurant and supermarket workers. We must bolster all of our resources so our community can get back to work. 2020 is going to be the year that the new normal emerges. We don't have time for divisive voices or fear mongering. During this pandemic, I've delivered valuable resources back to this district for our schools, our economy, our roads, and our community's health. Hundreds of millions of dollars are headed for this district in only the last 100 days that I've been in office. My opponent has no legislative experience and has not worked at any elected level of office. During the special election, I said if you entrusted me with your vote, I would produce, and I have. I've only just begun. My committee assignments and the relationships I've already built throughout the Senate and the district make me exactly the right choice to make sure we get through this year and the years to come with the resources we need to rebuild. If you re-elect Senator Moran, I can promise to be a thoughtful, rational, and measured approach to my job and my commitment to this district. For more information, go to votemoran.com and please cast your ballot for me on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan Moran and Jay McMahon. Thank you both for being with us this evening. We appreciate that. We're going to move on to candidates for Barnstable County Commissioner. And there are 4 candidates vying for 2 seats. They are Ron Beatty, Mark Forrest, Abraham Kasparian, and Sheila Lyons. And we have 3 of those candidates with us this evening as we wait to have them join us. So we have Mark Forrest. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Abe Kasparian, I saw Abe pop up there. Hi, Abe. And Sheila Lyons should be here somewhere as well. Okay, there we are. Hi, Sheila. All right. First, we're going to go again in alphabetical order. So Mark Forrest, we will start with you. What do you think will be the most pressing issue for the county commissioners in the upcoming term, and what do you regard as the best approach to this issue?
Well, I think the most pressing issue that we're going to have to deal with is the coronavirus and all of the attendant issues with it. It's impacting, obviously, healthcare. It's impacting the economy. I personally have been impacted by this in terms of loss of life in my family and losing friends. I have friends that have their small businesses they've gone under, and we have so much of a community impact that it's hard to find a place or an aspect of life here on Cape Cod that hasn't been touched in some way. So that is going to be the priority for us. And in recent weeks, we've seen hunger emerge as a dominant issue. We have many people literally going without food on Cape Cod. So I see us working closely with all the organizations on the Cape that are dealing with this crisis, housing, hunger, food pantries, bringing together leaders in the business community to find out where we can fill some gaps, where we can help leverage support and bring people together to address this crisis. It's getting worse, and as COVID continues on, it's going to even have a more devastating impact. So I think that's the priority. There are other priorities as well. Obviously, we as a county have to deal with the wastewater challenges, the pollution problems facing our water supplies and beaches and estuaries. Climate change is an issue facing Cape Cod. We've got to make that a priority and get off the sidelines on that. We also have to deal with economic development, jobs, affordable housing. As the former chairman of the Housing Assistance Corporation, I was very involved in developing a strategy for addressing the affordable housing crisis here on Cape Cod, and that should serve as a blueprint for us to begin a renewed and reinvigorated effort to deal with this crisis. So there's a lot of work to do, but I think those are the main priorities right now facing Cape Cod and the county commissioners.
All right, thank you. Abe Kasparian, same question. You got to unmute, Abe, unmute your microphone. Look, we're all getting used to this new Zoom age. So you got to unmute.
We are.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. Our county is facing an ongoing career financial shortfall. And the recent talk that after the election, the commissioners will move to increase the collection of funds to offset this shortfall, partly caused by COVID-19 and the lack of control of spending in that office by increasing the special county real estate tax, is simply the wrong approach. Each of our 15 communities here on Cape Cod are also hurting due to COVID-19, including but not limited to the recent Prop 2.5 overrides for town building projects. Each of our Cape Cod communities, we have homelessness, drug and alcohol addiction, our school-age children losing time from their education, their parents losing income and their jobs, all on the rise. Cape businesses are closing due to the pandemic, and there is no magic wand that any of the commissioner candidates can use to state or even correct or ease the pain. The talk of some commissioner candidates looking to increase the special county real estate tax after the election must not take place. If it does, it will cause harm to our senior citizens and the parents of our school-age children in our 15 communities in Cape Cod. The talk of increasing the special county real estate tax, they say, will be needed to fund the county. The county is an antiquated form of multi-layered, needless form of government, which always remains in the red. I, Abraham Kasparian Jr., believe that while we go through the process over the next 4 years, I shall move to abolish this antiquated form of county government, and our pain will be surrendered. And I have the support of a number of our Commonwealth legislators to bring forth a bill to abolish the 3 county commissioners and their 15-member assembly of delegates. These offices, elected offices, have become a nest for career politicians whom seek to increase their retirement benefits at our cost to taxpayers.
Thank you, Abe. That is 2 minutes. Sheila Lyons. Unmute, Sheila. You got to mute your mic.
Good evening, Mindy, and thank you everyone for hosting this. I have to say I agree with Mark more than I do with Abe on this, and the county is going to be facing all new challenges on new levels. With COVID, everything that Mark said I agree with. We are going to be looking at families who are having decreased incomes, loss of jobs, struggling with the school situations and childcare. We have housing issues. Our standing issues are the same, our housing issues. How do we create a year-round economy without impacting the environment? And what is also emerging is a public health need, our public health system. So we can be in touch with, we can convene all of our public health departments along with the clinics, our community clinics and the hospital, and really have a conversation of how can we create more of a robust and how could we support that happening, where we have nurses and people in place, navigators who really do know their communities that they live in, know the people and where they are. So that is one thing that I would like to really pursue. I think we have to pursue Open Cape and make sure that broadband, I've always felt that the Open Cape in 2008, we pushed for that. We got a $32 million grant for it, and it never really finished that last mile. And then I was thinking that it was a great way to foster economic development without having a footprint on the economy. People could work from home, it could increase population here, which would increase our dollars in local markets. And now that is all true, as well as children having access to schools, people being able to Zoom and interact with their workplace. So these are things that are absolutely necessary. As far as any talk about increasing property tax, I don't know where that came from. That has never even been a part of anybody's discussion here. So that's something there's another campaign or another, maybe he's back in
Okay.
1672 when the county
Thank,
was.
thank you,
created.
Sheila.
But it was
That's 2 minutes.
reestablished.
2
in
minutes. Okay, we're going to move
1989.
on. Abe Kasparian, it is your time to go first, so unmute your mic. And this has been touched on, but we're going to ask this question anyway. What should the county initiate or augment to assist county government to provide residents who've been severely impacted by the coronavirus?
I think the first thing we got to do is eliminate the county government. I keep saying that. $15 million would be returned back to the local communities, and the local communities, including the individual citizens of those communities at their local town meetings, will be able to direct the $1 million that would go back to the individual communities. And it's just, let me use a little bit of my time to address Sheila Lyons. The talk had come directly from Mark to me. So when we were at my house about 3 or 4 months ago. So the talk is there. And since you and Mark are both together on your campaign signs, I guess you must know what Mark has planned if he gets elected and you get elected.
Okay, Sheila Lyons, you go next. You got to unmute your mic, Sheila.
We don't discuss every aspect of our campaign. However, as far as people who are hurting, right now the county is doing some things. They are working on food insecurity, and they're trying to address that. And there are ways we can do that. In 2008, I came into a board of commissioners that systematically took a $10 million revenue surplus and gave it back to the towns. And the towns they still were not able to address their climate change issues, their wastewater issues, their housing issues. Though that money is better kept on the Cape as opposed to going to the State House. It is kept locally. It is strategically looked at and used. It is leveraged. We can stretch dollars much further on the county level, and we can partner and make the arguments to get more money to this region. That is why the county is there. It was reconstituted and reestablished in 1989 by very smart people who saw the need of this. Giving back money like that is a Band-Aid, and it's not used strategically, and it doesn't have a long game run. That is what the county does. It looks into the future. What is needed here? What can we invest in? And what can we plan for so that we are prepared for these crises? That happened with the emergency response system that we have, which I helped promote and get through. It happened with the regional network that helped us identify the vulnerable here. We were able to have higher marks with the state than most other counties because we were prepared, and we used those dollars and reinvested them strategically and wisely.
Thank you. Mark Forrest, you got to unmute Mike. Mark.
Thank you. Abe, you're gonna have to tell me who that was you were meeting with 3 months ago. It wasn't me. I wasn't at your house. I have no idea what you're talking about. And I never floated a plan to you or anybody that is with your campaign about increasing taxes. So that's just pure fiction. Let's just get that right out there. So the fact is, if you abolish the county, what you're doing is you're putting the Cape in a hole right off the bat. That money that you talk about saving and redistributing to the communities, it's fiction. It's not going to happen. That money's going to be sucked up on Beacon Hill. They will suck up any loose change they can get their hands on up there. And the reality is that we're the ones that the voters chose. County government was adopted by the voters of the people of Cape Cod. They voted for this. And so it's the people's government, and that's the people's money. And they should decide where those dollars go. So, and in terms of going forward, in terms of how we provide help and relief to those most in need, there are other counties that have been very aggressive in getting funds, both at the federal level, the state level, and even foundations to help their businesses, to help individuals, to help the people that they serve. We should be doing the same thing. And I know Sheila and I will be very, very aggressive in that. But this whole notion of you and me meeting to have some discussion about a tax is just pure fiction. Didn't happen. So let's get to the real issues in this forum.
Right, Sheila Lyons, you're going to go first this time, and Sheila, unmute your mic. What do you regard as the major environmental threat to the Cape at this time, and how would you see the county working effectively to address this?
Well, I think that we all feel the impacts of coastal climate change and the coastal erosion that it is presenting. I mean, we've had how many towns? I remember sitting in a meeting with conservation groups all over and town managers, and they had all just spent millions of, $1 million in Sandwich, 600,000 in Orleans to resand and replenish their beaches, and it was gone in one storm. All that money just went. So these are things that are affecting towns, and climate change is our #1 problem. And we have neglected this so long that it is, how do we change it? But one thing that COVID taught us, that we had a 2-month shutdown of human travel around this globe. And there was a huge reduction of fossil fuel use because people weren't driving, they weren't flying, and they weren't using their boats. And that the earth responded, and it showed that there is an impact from fossil fuels, and we have got to make a reduction. Towns across the Cape are voting on climate change goals across the Cape. These town meetings, our town just did it this spring. I know others are. We have to support those efforts. And how do we reduce fossil fuel use on this Cape as soon as we can? Some are trying 2025, 2030. I hope we're here in 2025 to be able to have those changes put in place.
Thank you. Mark Forrest, you are up next. Don't forget to unmute your mic.
Repeat that question again, Mindy.
Sure. What do you regard as the major environmental threat to the Cape at this time, and how would you see the county working effectively to address this?
Well, certainly climate change is a preeminent threat to Cape Cod. We're sort of ground zero, and it's already having an impact on Cape Cod. You can just see it in terms of water quality impacts around the Cape. It has the potential to be completely devastating in terms of our shellfish industry, our fishing industry. And the consequences go on. I know, just as being a former town administrator, we've had issues just in terms of flooding, coastal flooding, areas being flooded in our communities that have never experienced flooding before. And that's a significant issue, and it's very expensive for the towns to deal with. So I think the extent to which the Cape can play a role through the leadership at county level in terms of finding ways to reduce our carbon footprint is a very, very important priority. It's a very, very important step for us to take. The Cape Cod Commission has already started on helping us sort of quantify that. And then I think from there, we need to build a strategy in terms of accomplishing those goals. But there's plenty of work to do. There are plenty of groups here on Cape Cod that are committed to working on this effort. We're very lucky. We're very fortunate that in places like Falmouth, we have a cluster of research centers that are heavily engaged in this effort. We have the expertise right here in our backyard to help us lead this very robust initiative. And I think we can make not only real progress, but be a model for other coastal communities that are wrestling with this problem. So I see great opportunity here in meeting this most critical challenge facing Cape Cod.
Thank you. Abe Kasparian, same question. Unmute, Abe, sorry. Unmute your mic.
Yes, thank you very much. Mark is absolutely correct, and also isn't Sheila Lyons correct on a lot of the issues. But the key is the Cape Cod Commission, which oversees most of everything that Mark's talked about and most of the things that Sheila's talked about. So the Cape Cod Commission, in my plan to eliminate county government, returning 15 million back to each one of the 15 communities, would be to allow the Cape Cod Commission to continue on with its very impressive work that it has done, aside from the county commissioners, without interference from the county commissioners, because it's a standalone organization, totally autonomous from what the county commissioners do. They do a great job. They have a focus on what is happening on our coastal line. They have a focus on what is going on our individual cities and towns in our community as Cape Cod as a whole. So they would continue through a piece of special legislation that I think should be drafted and created to allow them to continue as an autonomous body aside from the county government. The county government is an antiquated government that just sucks dry of each one of the taxpayers' communities, their resources, their financial resources. Mark said he was an administrator for a town. Wouldn't he like an extra $1 million a year to manage things that he felt that was important? That is where the money should be going, not to paying county commissioners, not to be increasing their retirement funds. And that's what we have to focus on. And that's how we correct a lot of the coastal issue problems that we have on Cape Cod, is through the Cape Cod Commission.
All right, thank you, Mark. Forrest, we start with you this time, so unmute your mic. This is a question from the public. What is the justification after the many years it has taken to clean up prior pollutants is there for building an expanded machine gun range on the Otis Joint Base?
Well, with respect, are you putting the time sign up already?
He's just
Tommy?
starting, Jenny.
Oh, sorry. I was like, wow, that was fast. The machine gun range, well, you know, what's interesting about the machine gun range proposal is that, well, let me just give some background. I've been involved for many years in dealing with the pollution problems out at the military base. I started in 1984 when I was tasked by then Congressman Gary Studs. I served on his staff. My job was to help lead the congressional delegation's effort to tackle that problem. We came up with a plan. It's brought hundreds of millions of dollars here to Cape Cod to clean up. And the last thing that we need to do is repeat the mistakes of the past. All right, what we need to do is make sure that the area on the northern part of the base, which is called the Upper Cape Water Supply Reserve, I played a very instrumental role in creating the reserve. We've got to basically protect the reserve, protect the water supplies beneath it. And a proposal like this needs to go through and be dealt with by the Environmental Management Commission. Now, for a little bit of background, one needs to understand that the last time this proposal emerged, it was vetoed by then Governor Paul Cellucci. As governor, he said that he did not think that that project was necessary and that he promised to work with the Army National Guard to relocate that training some other place. He was very concerned, like most Cape Codders, of the impacts of groundwater pollution in that area. The congressional delegation for years refused to fund that proposal for precisely the same reasons that Governor Cellucci vetoed that proposal. So there's a history here of trying to discourage that kind of activity from occurring. As a county commissioner, obviously, I think it's critically important that we protect our water resources. The Sagamore Lens, which is an underground reservoir beneath the reserve, is the water supply for Falmouth, Mashpee, Sandwich, Bourne, Barnstable, and Yarmouth. Everyone living west of Bess River is impacted by what goes on out there, and it should deserve the highest priority in terms of protection. And I intend to do that.
Abe Kasparian, same question. I got to unmute, Abe.
Mute the button.
Okay.
Thank you again. Mark's absolutely correct. But all of the things that he's talking about and he's expanded upon is coming through the Cape Cod Commission. And that is simply where it lies. It should stay with the Cape Cod Commission. The county form of government, as I've said before, is a separate entity from the Cape Cod Commission. What Mark is talking about is already funneled through the Cape Cod Commission and can be expanded much more deeply through the Cape Cod Commission and oversee all of those projects without any problems at all. Now, he talks about 1989. 1989 is not the years we're in right now. That was a long time ago. I think everyone, including the current governor and the current legislative body, really understands the value of Cape Cod and the uniqueness of Cape Cod and what we have here. And I don't think we're going to go back in history. I don't think they're going to go back in history either. So I believe that the abolishment of county government gives us back $1 million per year, every single year, back to each one of the 15 communities, and let those individual legislators and those individual selectmen, of which Mark is a selectman, I'm sure he would love to have an extra $1 million in the town budget to work with to tackle these areas and in Yarmouth specifically. And that is what I think and how we can accomplish these goals. And the Cape Cod Commission is doing a great job and should continue on with their job and work with the state legislators to be able to expand their look over all of our waterways. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheila Lyons, you want to unmute your mic, Sheila?
So as far as the base is concerned, I am very concerned about what's the proposal going on there for all the reasons that Mark has cited. We're going back and repeating the same mistakes. I remember the booming as a young person being on the beaches of Yarmouth. And this was in the 60s. I was a little kid and it felt like thunder rolling in the background, and that was in Yarmouth. And, but back then I said we were in the afterglow of World War II, and you had faith in your bases and your military. And, a lot of things have gone wrong from military advice since then, including, bad wars, false wars, and we've paid the price. So this, and not only that, since those days, and even since 1989, there has been an increase of the population. Falmouth, Sandwich, Mashpee are year-round communities. They were not the sleepy little offshoot here off of Massachusetts that we once were. So this is going to have a severe impact on noise pollution and environmental pollution. So this cannot really happen. I don't like the idea of it. I have written letters about it in public comment to the authorities of the military, and I look forward to working with the military. I have worked with them on other issues when I was a county commissioner. They're wonderful people, wonderful guys, wonderful women, but this is not a good idea for this sensitive area, and we cannot take the chance when we're just finally cleaning up our area here.
Thank you. We're going to move on to closing comments now. Abe, you want to unmic your mic there? You are first. You have 2 minutes for closing comments, Abe.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the Falmouth League of Women Voters for allowing this forum to go forward, and the Falmouth Community Television for putting it forward and allowing the voters to see and hear from all of us. As far as a closing statement, I just think that we have an antiquated system of government called county government. We need to remove that county form of government, accelerate the works of the Cape Cod Commission as an independent organization, completely autonomous. It's autonomous now, it funds itself, but we can utilize that form of government to that agency to be independent of the county commissioners completely. Return of 15 million bucks back into the individual communities. It's not going to get sucked up by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's going to go right back into the Yarmouth taxpayers, all the way from Buzzards Bay, all the way out to Provincetown. That's where the money is going to go back into our individual communities, and let our boards of select persons be able to decide how those monies are to be spent at town meetings, not by 3 county commissioners who have talked about increasing the special county tax, which will increase all of our real estate taxes here on Cape Cod when they get in office and take control for 4 years. That is the talk. Mark, you and I had that talk. I'm sorry if you can't remember or choose not to remember. That's fine. I remember it, and that's all that counts at this point. And the proof will be in the pudding, unless each one of Ms. Lyons and Mr. Forrest, if you want to make a pledge right here tonight that no county tax should ever be increased. If you make that pledge, that might eliminate a lot of my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sheila, you want to unmute, and you are next, Sheila Lyons.
So I just want to say that, no, that money would go to the state, Abe. It would go right to the general fund, and we would all each individually be fighting for it. It does not stay on Cape Cod and then get just redistributed to the towns. And you can't just give $15 million to every town, because every town is paying a different proportion of that money. So there would be a food fight over that as well. The reason that the county is, and the reason that the Cape Cod Commission is here is because of the county. It was the county commissioners that took up the charge of the 208. We were the ones that got sued. the county itself, as opposed to individual homeowners, which were the sole source point of the pollution. Otherwise, it would have gone to each individual homeowner having to deal with this. So the county is necessary. It has elected officials. Elected people are responsible to the people. And the Cape Cod Commission are appointed and hired. So they have a mandate, but they can go much further with their mandate when they are pushed by their elected officials to say, this is what we're going to do. This is what we need you to do. And then they have more leverage to pursue the solutions they need to do. And when they have the county backing behind them, they can make stronger arguments to federal and state agencies, and they have money that they can partner with us to make a bigger pot for us to address information systems across the Cape, alleviate costs to the towns directly by giving them services that they would pay 3 times for if they were paying it privately out of their pocket. So I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Forrest. Unmute, Mark.
Once again, Abe, I never met you at your house to talk about a tax. Just let's keep it at that. All right, that never happened. That's in your imagination. Now, I have been accused of being everywhere and working on a lot of places, so I understand how you might be confused. I think it's important right now for people to understand how important a role county government is in terms of the individuals and the taxpayers in the towns on Cape Cod. The county does a lot of things and saves our municipalities a lot of money. We have a dredge program. The county dredge saves towns on Cape Cod millions of dollars each year. Dredging is very, very important from an environmental point of view and from a public safety point of view. We have a county purchasing program that buys fuel, office supplies, all sorts of other goods for the towns. That saves the towns millions of dollars. We have a AmeriCorps program that provides natural resource conservation services for the towns. That's at least $1 million in service and assistance to the towns at no cost to them. We have a public health staff. When I was an administrator in Provincetown, when someone on our health department had to go on vacation or got sick, we called the county. They had the staff. They provided the support. They bailed us out on numerous occasions to deal with the crisis in our community. Fire training, police training. Where do you think our firefighters get trained? Where do our police officers, where are they getting trained? It's through the county and our programs there. Again, that saves the towns millions of dollars. We have a septic system loan program that the county runs that saves individual homeowners significant sums in terms of having to finance upgrading a septic system. We have a flood insurance program that provides direct assistance, and it says save individual homeowners hundreds of thousands of dollars in flood insurance premiums. So I could keep going on, but that gives you just a sample of some of the important things, which is why I'm running, so we can do more. And I ask for your vote.
Thank you.
this
I
election.
thank Mark Forrest, Sheila Lyons, Abe Kasparian. Thank you all for being here. We're going to move on to the Assembly of Delegates candidates. Thank you. Appreciate your time
Thank
this
you all.
evening. And then coming in for our candidates for Assembly of Delegates to represent Falmouth, we have Doug Brown, Daniel Gessen. Michael Halen couldn't be with us this evening, so we've got 2 of the 3 candidates with us. Welcome. And we will start the first question with Doug Brown, again, going in alphabetical order. So Doug, you want to unmute your mic there. The Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates passes laws that control our region's services expenses. What do you think are legit? How would you fund them?
I think the #1 priority in Barnstable County and all of Cape Cod and every town is affordable housing. Cape's not an affordable place to live, and we talk about it a lot, but there's not a lot of real action that's being taken to combat that. I recently made a proposal that the assembly rentals to be used exclusively for use. I was unable to attend the last meeting because of a death in the family. But we'll take it up at the next meeting. The assembly is we control the purse strings and we vote on issues. But the county or help establish multifamily housing zones in these towns. And I would hope that they could be in areas which we don't think of typically as affordable, so we can better integrate our communities, because I think that's important. That's something that's not being done. So that's the first thing I'd like to do. I know the short-term rental tax is a big impact on affordable housing on Cape Cod. It takes a lot of housing out of the market. So I think that's something that we should address using the funds that are generated from that. Part of that funding is going to wastewater planning, and that's appropriate, but the other remaining 5.7 I think should be used for that. The second thing I think is wastewater planning. We're way behind on Cape Cod. People come from cities all across the country and they're amazed that our septics are right in our backyards and they go right into the bay. So that's something that really needs to be addressed. I was on the Falmouth Wastewater Plan Review Committee. We had a mandate from the state to create a new septic sewage treatment plant, and they proposed that the engineers proposed it be built at Otis, $600 million, and we just didn't have that money at the time to spend. So we put a committee together. Okay.
That's 2 minutes, Doug. We
Thank
have to
you
move
very
on to
much.
Dan. Dan, unmute your mic, and same question to you.
Hi. Yeah, I think one of the top issues facing Cape Cod right now is really the exodus of our young people from the region. I mean, if you look at the statistics over the last 2 decades, the proportion of people under the age of 55 in our region has dropped by more than 42%. This is an issue that's really going to define our generation on Cape Cod, not only because of the young people it's going to end up affecting, but because it's really symptomatic of a lot of the issues that both Mr. Brown brought up, but that generally affect our region. First off, the first, I think, main issue, Mr. Brown is right. Affordable housing, the way it is on Cape Cod, is a system that just doesn't meet our needs. But additionally, we need investments in new infrastructure, from transportation and traditional infrastructure to modern internet services, both of which are failing us. And it's really a travesty that we in 2020 do not have high-speed internet on the Cape. I think the second and almost equally as large issue is climate change. Not only do we have to do our part to prevent it on a town, local, and county level, but we need to start preparing for its inevitable impact on Cape Cod. Obviously, I get the budgetary concerns, and though they're legitimate on a case-by-case basis, as the county does have a minimal budget, the county really isn't based in revenue. That we leave up to the towns, state, and federal government. They have money at their disposal. The primary job of the county and a delegate is really to accomplish its goals through coordination between the towns, supporting the public servants that work for it, and tireless advocacy on behalf of the community you represent, which I intend on doing with all my energy and all the strength I have as a delegate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dan Gasson, we start with you this time. What are your views on how the Assembly of Delegates and the Cape Cod Commission can best work together? Are there changes that you think need to be made to the regional policy plan?
Absolutely. I believe that unlike some of the previous candidates and even the previous former spoken, that I think it's very valuable that we have this unique form of government in our Barnstable County. We're the only type of county with this type of government in the entirety of Massachusetts. And I think it really gives people a voice to elect people and not just have career public servants working in these positions. So yeah, I definitely think that the Cape Cod Commission is a very valuable aspect of our county, both when it comes to zoning, planning, and working with affordable housing. However, if we could improve the communication within it with the elected representatives of the town that are in the Assembly of Delegates, I think that could improve the commission even more. A lot of what happens in that commission is invaluable, however, is often really disconnected from the public officers, both the county commissioners and the Assembly of Delegates that are actually elected to represent the interests of the towns.
Thank you. Doug Brown, same question. Oh, and can you, unmute? Did you ask me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it says, what are your views on how the Assembly of Delegates and the Cape Cod Commission can best work together? And are there changes that you think need to be made to the regional policy plan?
Well, actually, I think they work together quite well. I think Ron Bergstrom gives us a great briefing at the beginning of each of our meetings, and we act on the proposals that he brings, and I think it's working well. The county's providing a ton of services right now that are invaluable. Like in the Falmouth Health Department, we were shorthanded, and the county hired a nurse to go in there and assist. And they do that. They supplement local government in all kinds of ways wherever it's needed. So when you call in the county, they're there to help. And I think it's working, and I don't see any problem with it. As far as career politicians, I don't know where that is, because these are just local people. They're mostly business people, and it's only $1,000 pay a year. It's not a big payday to get this job, so I don't know what that is.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to the next question.
Mind
And
if I
Doug,
get a
you-
quick follow-up?
No, we're not doing rebuttals. We're just doing the 2 minutes. You can add it to your time in this question if you'd like. Doug, many Barnstable, this is a question from the public. Many Barnstable County residents have suffered severe impacts to their health, finances, and housing stability since the advent of COVID-19. What should the county be doing to assist these residents over the near term?
Well, we have limited abilities to really help with what they need, which is they need rent control and mortgage protection. That's going to come from the legislature. But what they do is react with, we just recently hired a food coordinator, which is a person that's going to work between all the 32 food banks on the Cape and redistribute food to some banks might have too many lima beans and some might have too much pasta. And that food coordinator now is on the job organizing this, because there is a huge amount of food insecurity on the Cape, and the need has never been bigger. So it's already being done on the local level. I'm sure there's more to do, and we'll take it up, but you know, the big issues are going to be handled at the legislative level.
All right, same question, Dan Guess, and don't forget to unmute your mic.
Of course. Yeah, just to clarify on the previous question, using my time now, as far as I understood, the question was about the Cape Cod Commission, not about the Cape Cod Commissioners. The Cape Cod Commissioners are an elected body, and you're right, Mr. Brown. However, the Cape Cod Commission is an appointed body that works specifically in zoning targeted policy matters on Cape Cod. However, in response to COVID-19, I think the county did a tremendous job responding to COVID-19 in a way that really is a testament to why we have a county government to begin with. We are one of the few counties in New England that has a county-run Department of Health, and that Department of Health had been creating COVID planning and ways to work with and coordinate town responses to COVID in January, before the CDC or any federal organization or state organization was on top of it. I think that really showed when we saw the results of COVID-19 in our area, how quick testing came up off the ground. But there's obviously, you're right, a lot of work to be done going forward. This work is going to be, as the county's already on top of it when it comes to food coordination, but we can also coordinate other tasks that the towns need help with. The Department of Health is a group of professional, devoted public servants on a county level, and they are jumping at the bit to help our local volunteer department's health on a town level. I think that is going to be the defining factor in the county's response in helping COVID-19.
All right, Dan, we're going to start with you this time. And this is another question from the public. As an assembly member, how would you balance your responsibility to think locally about how to best support Falmouth government and citizens, and to think regionally and what's best for the Cape as a whole?
Yeah, I think that a question that I sometimes get pretty often is, are you running on the Democratic side or the Republican side of this ticket? Which I think really speaks to the seat, because unlike even the Cape Cod Commissioners, this is a nonpartisan seat, which means you really have your allegiance not to some national narrative, but to the local constituents that elect you. And I think that that is really one of my favorite things about this position. And yes, I think that a lot of issues that affect Falmouth affect the whole Cape as a region. That is why we have a county government that's unique to the Cape Cod, because Cape Cod uniquely intertwines issues from town to town, unlike almost any other town in our entire Commonwealth. So I think that there's really not much of a divide between looking out for what the needs of Falmouth and its citizens are on a county level, and the needs when it comes to infrastructure, affordable housing, and other issues that afflict the entire Cape are on a Barnstable County level. So I think anything I do to help on a county level is going to have a positive impact on my hometown of Falmouth.
Thank you. Doug, you got to remember to unmute yourself, and same question.
So it is a team effort on the county government, but at the same time, we do have to represent our towns in the best way we can. A good example of representing our town is looking out for our dredging needs. The dredge is a great asset to our community, but in the recent years, there's been some mechanical issues with the dredge and some staffing issues. We recently hired a new dredge operator, a coordinator, and he seemed very knowledgeable. And it seems like now we're going to get a good season in, and we're already into the new season. You got to pay close attention to the management of these type of things, because if it's well run and effective, it can serve all the towns. So I guess to some degree, Dan's answer I agree with, because we all have to pitch in and work together. It's 15 towns, and we all have to look out to make sure that we're all getting served efficiently.
Thank you. We're going to move to closing comments now. And Doug Brown, you go first. 2 minutes. Yeah, you're first. We're taking turns who answers first. Go ahead. You got to unmute.
My screen just went off.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so closing arguments. I started out in 2003 getting involved in community business. I've been a construction supervisor and owned my own business since 1985. I started in the East Falmouth Village Association. I was one of the founding members. We didn't really have a voice. We wanted some sidewalks on our local neighborhood coming from Seacoast Shores down to Canyons, because a lot of people were having to travel to get their groceries down there. And I couldn't get any support at the local level from my select board or anybody. We ended up having to form a petition and get the highway department to acknowledge our petition, and they ended up giving us the sidewalks, added $1 million to $1 million paving project, but we got it done. So that's how I got started in local politics. And then I got into town meeting, served on the planning board. I was on the town building committee. There's a wide variety of things that I've done to work my way up to getting onto the select board. And so I feel like the select board was a springboard for me to become a part of the assembly, because it's important that you interact with the select board regularly if you're going to be the assembly representative. So I think it makes sense for a person on the select board to be in that position, unless you're willing to attend those meetings regularly just as well. So I look forward to continuing the work that I'm doing. And as I said, I've already started with an idea about how to kickstart the affordable housing. I'm very knowledgeable about coastal resiliency. I was the one who started our Coastal Resiliency Action Committee in Falmouth. I actually made the motion to appoint that committee. I look forward to continuing their work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Dan Gessen, same closing comments. And you got to unmute.
Yeah, I mean, the real reason I really decided to enter the race for Barnstable Assembly delegates is my concern that oftentimes, even in the commissioner race and other local races, strategies of division have begun to seep to the forefront of our local discourse. I believe that instead of getting entrenched in these battles, I really want to bring the focus back to what matters to Cape Cod and to Falmouth. We've become too reliant at times on a tourism-driven economy. The way our job market currently exists is not only unhealthy, but is on track to worsen over the next years and decade. We can't allow the jobs, homes, and lives of our young people to be forced to leave and really ever expect them to return here ever again. We're essentially knocking away the support beams of our small, diverse, and unique society, and I believe action needs to be taken now, or too soon there will be no young people like me on the Cape. I really love my home. I love Falmouth, and I love Cape Cod. However, we can't deny that we are facing challenges as a region that need to be addressed now. We need strong and active leadership now. Solving these issues and many others will require bold investment in our infrastructure, in new industries, in our youth, and in our people. I'm running because I see these issues and refuse to stop at anything to do my part to solve them. I want your vote because if elected, you have my word that I will not let these conversations go unspoken in the halls of our local government. When things are good, we can afford to elect officials who won't rock the boat, but our current times don't call for us to rock the boat, but to redirect its course. I will be your voice for this change and this progress. We all agree on what we need to do. It's time that we elect someone who's actually going to get it done. As your ballots come in or you go vote in person, please stay safe and vote Dan Gesson for Barnstable Assembly of Delegates.
Great. Dan Gesson and Doug Brown, thank you both for being with us this evening and sharing your viewpoints, and thank all of our candidates for joining us this evening. Jenny, I don't know if you have any final comments you'd like to make for the league, and then I guess we just say good night and thank you.